Keep going. God is with you. Now, something I've realized is that no matter what you go through, no matter what's happening in your life, you'll always have someone there with you through that struggle, right? There will always be someone in the trenches right beside you. Now, for a long time, I was actually an atheist. Well, not for a long time, but for a time, I did not believe in God. And it was sort of mainly because, like, I went to a Catholic school. Well, I still go to a Catholic school, but this was further back. And it was one of those things where, like, religion is just so hammered down your throat, right? I didn't really like my religion teacher that much, and it was one of those things where I just really wanted her to be wrong, right? I really wanted what she was saying to just be baloney, right? To not be true. And I started to, because I kind of wanted her to be wrong, every time she would say something about God, I would try to correct her in my mind, right? I would try to be like, no, that's not true. That can't be right or whatever. Like I kept like questioning what she was saying. It's not wrong to ask questions, but it wasn't like a question like, huh, I wonder why that is or whatever, or I wonder if that's true or not. It was, no, that can't be true. And I'd make up some reasons why, right? Like, to give you an example, she would say something like God is love, right? And I would somehow create this excuse in my head of, no, God can't be love because horrible things happen all the time, and there's no way that God can be love. And I didn't really bother thinking about it. I just really wanted her to be wrong. And that's nothing against her, that's entirely against me. It's entirely my fault, right? And because I wanted that so bad, I kept making making all these reasons, basically like blasphemous things of why what the world knows about God, what God even says about himself, isn't true. And then, of course, because of that, I stopped trusting God. I stopped trusting Jesus. I stopped believing that there even was a God, right? I've always been really into science, and I love science. I love understanding how the world works and learning more about the world around me. And because I was moving away from God, science came in and was sort of my, like, oh, okay, yeah, like Big Bang, you know, obviously that God isn't real because it doesn't make any sense in science. How can there be this all-powerful being? Doesn't even make any sense. Where did God come from? All this stuff, right? And because of that, obviously, I stopped believing. And I truly do mean it to say that the period of my life when I stopped believing in God was one of the most anxiety-ridden, most depressing periods of my life I've ever had, right? Like, my family goes to church, right? And I remember being in church during this period of time and just looking at my pastor and just thinking to myself, you are such an idiot, right? You're so wrong, right? Thinking all these negative thoughts about the world, because if there's no God in the world, it's kind of hard to sort of find the positive in things, because the world is kind of a pretty dark place when you look around, but it's also a very good place. What matters is how you perceive it, right? Um, and so by me not believing that God is out there, not trusting in his plan for the universe, I stopped seeing the good in the world. I stopped seeing the beauty around me, and I started to hate my life more and more. And so it's kind of interesting. I think it's pretty funny, but it's very mysterious how God works in this world. But I was watching a documentary about like dinosaurs and the extinction, because like I said earlier, I'm very into science. I like science and I like evolution and life and all that stuff. And I was watching a show about the extinction of the dinosaurs and how that affected natural history and all that stuff. And it said, and something that's very interesting that still blows me away today, is that if the asteroid didn't hit at the exact location that it did, in an exact place, in the exact time, and it wasn't the exact temperature, it wasn't the exact speed that it was, the extinction event that wiped out dinosaurs would have either have been too bad, like it would have wiped out more than it would have wiped out the mammals and like would have like ended the world, right? Like humanity would have never come about, right? God would have never been able to make humanity if that asteroid didn't like come at the time that it did. So if it was also running like the asteroid came in and it was not weak enough, the dinosaurs would still be around, and we would have had too much competition for resources, and humanity again would have never existed. And that just blew me away as a kid. Right, that just blew me away, and it just hit me that everything in this world is so perfect, right? It's so perfectly calculated and designed to allow for our existence, right? And that just blew me when I was saying, like, wow, right? If everything that ever happened, right? Everything in this world didn't happen exactly how it was supposed to, I would have never existed. You would have never existed. Your mother would have. None of this would have happened. And that was my major turning point. That's when I realized that God was real and he actually cares about me. He actually cares about the world, right? And I know this video is kind of getting long, but keep going, right? Because he does care about you. Like, he created you. Your existence is entirely his fault, right? Without him, you wouldn't be here. None of us would. Like, he wants you to exist for a reason, right? He put you on this earth for a reason. No matter what you've done, no matter what people have done to you, no matter how you feel about the world, you exist for a reason. And to think that he's not going to help you, that he's not going to be there for you when you need him the most, is ridiculous to think. Because he made you to do something. He is the reason you exist, right? Like, he is our father, right? Like Jesus said when he came to earth, incarnated as a human being, right? He said not that his father is who we pray to, is that our father is who we pray to. Our father. Us and Jesus, we have the same father, right? And your parent, right? Because God is the perfect thing to ever exist, right? So the perfect parent, to think the perfect parent wouldn't be there for you when you're going through a rough spot in life is ridiculous to think, right? Even though it may not seem like it, he's there for you, right? He's making sure you're okay. All you have to do is reach out. All you have to do is look for him. And then he'll come find you. I know it may seem lonely. I know it may seem difficult, but he's always going to be there for you. So keep going, because God is with you. That's all I got for today. God bless you, and stay wild.